Welcome to this meeting of the Rotary Club of Greenville. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Today we have David Ellis is going to do prayer. Buddy Smith is going to do the pledge, four-way test by Annette Weiland. And do you want to sing today? David Weiland is going to do the song today. I heard some mixed reviews there. So if everybody would please stand.
Yes. Okay, let's bow our heads. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to come to this great Noon Rotary program today, Father. We ask for your blessings on this house. We ask for mercy on our family as we travel through the rest of this week. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
Place the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in a four-way test of the things that we think, say, or do. First,
Is it true?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
and fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right, we're going to sing one that everybody knows. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny. And I'm not going to give you a chance to deny.
I'm not sure who you are singing to, but he sure is jolly today. Okay, and we have a Rotarian that has a visitor today. Debbie Sickles, would you please stand and tell us who your visitor is?
Would you please stand, Kevin? This is Kevin Lohmeyer. He's the general manager, CEO, no, all of everything. I'm just kidding. At Memory Land Memorial Cemetery. Okay. Welcome in. Oh, and he has some Rotary service already under his belt in Arkansas and Missouri of about, what'd you say, 13 years.
He'd be a
So
fabulous Rotarian.
we're working on
Give him an
this.
application.
Yes, application, please.
All right, we will do that.
I saw our membership there. There he is, sitting right across from. He'll take care of that. He's nodding to me. Okay. We just we'll go ahead and do your Happy Bucks and Deck of Destiny.
Okay.
Oh, look, we've already got some happy people.
Well, I am happy I'm here despite that I probably have either sprained or broke or torn something in my toes. But I'm here and I'm thankful for Glenda Osborne who gave me the cleanest used boot that I could find.
I've got an announcement to make for Keep Greenville Beautiful. It needs volunteers for their Make a Difference Day Creek Cleanup on Saturday, October 26th from 8:30 to noon. And if you want to do that, you can meet for registrations at the Super One parking lot. And also, Tracy wants to say that they're having an event called the Great Gatsby Style at Lake Tawakoni's Speakeasy Casino Night. You get extra chips for coming in costume. The date is Saturday, the 9th of November, and the tickets are $40. So if you're interested in that, Saturday the 9th. Okay, who's next? Who's happy? Here we go.
Ooh, we got lots of happy
You
people.
guys aren't that happy.
We're not that happy.
On this day, some unknown years ago, my darling wife was born.
Way back when.
All right, Larry. No, I was looking at Larry.
I want to give happy
happy Buck and congratulate Brother Rich Carter. My mother-in-law spent 4 days out there, and I have to say that the nurses took wonderful care of her. Okay.
Very nice, Larry. Just happy, okay. Oh, I know what you're happy about.
Yeah, probably you'll read this. We leave tomorrow to go to Rome, Italy, and then we're going to spend 3 days there and go on a 9-day cruise after that through the Greek Isles and other Italian ports, and I'm psyched.
I'm so sorry for y'all.
Well, I'm happy enough to put a 5 in there, and to tag along with what she just said, I got an email this morning from the American Embassy in Rome, Italy, advising me that there's 60,000 protesters who signed up to protest in 2 different locations Saturday in Rome, Italy, while we're there. You think it's going to be traffic jams? But the other announcement I want to make, I have got tickets here that the Britain Chevrolet gives away a new car every year. This is the Chevrolet Cruise, and they give tickets to 4 different organizations to sell. And the tickets that I've got, and this is not all I've got more in the office, the proceeds will go to community seeds. The tickets are only $2 a piece. Wow, what a bargain. And the drawing is going to be sometime in December. I don't know the exact date, but today, since I walked in the room, I've sold over 100 tickets. They're easy to sell, and I'd invite some of you that got contacts and businesses, get a 50, get 100 from me, and then in 3 weeks when we get back, you can pay me then. I'll let you have tickets on credit. All right.
Okay, you trust these people. Bill?
Well, that's $1 to celebrate the fact that it's probably the first time this year that Bob is called Gloria Darling. And I also want to remind everyone that Saturday night, the Bulldog Dixieland Band are playing at the Greenville Entertainment Series at the Greenville Municipal Auditorium. Please come.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to miss that.
I heard you said, darling.
Okay.
It was an expletive.
Happy table here. Okay. Here we go, Gary.
Hey, well, I'm happy because I got to go to my 50th high school reunion last weekend. I'm still trying to figure out who all those old people were.
Close away.
That's right.
I know you got something to say. Let's not talk to John right now.
I am happy and thankful for this weather. And also I want to remind everyone that we're having our business after hours tomorrow at Alliance Bank. Starts at 5 o'clock. Hope to see you there.
Ooh, I've been at that a few times. That's a nice event. Business after hours at Alliance. That's a good time there. Okay, going around once, twice, 3 times. Okay. How about our visitor giving us a lucky ticket? All right. Just go in there.
I need some cash.
Circle in there. Say that slowly.
347831.
True. Who's that?
Here we go.
So much for your spending money.
I wanted to spend money.
Did that.
Hey, treat me.
Who won? Who won? Ted? Oh, man.
Okay, here we go.
How much is it worth?
You don't have anybody in this room pulling for you.
$600.
600. That's it. No. Wayne.
Is that
Next time.
Take it out of there.
The top one.
You think that? You want to bet?
Yeah, I'll bet.
You bet? How much you want to bet?
You think he put it there?
Okay.
He said,
I got a couple of announcements.
Should have taken that bet.
I got a couple of announcements. That's because everybody can see it when you're holding it out and it's on the end. Okay, I've got a couple of announcements that I need to make. The first one is I sent an email at the beginning of the week. We have 10 seats that we have, due to our donation, our sponsorship for the Children's Advocacy Center, we have 10 seats at their gala tomorrow night. So that means go to business after hours at Alliance Bank and then shuffle right down to the Texan for the CAC gala. I have had 8 people respond, but I still have 2 seats available, and I need 2 Rotarians to come and let's represent Rotary tomorrow at CAC. I don't know if you guys have ever been to any of their events, but they are above and beyond. These are out of this world. And in fact, tomorrow is a Back to the Future themed event at the Texan Theater. So please see me afterwards if you can make it tomorrow evening to the CAC Gala. The other thing I need, and we seem to be a little bit light on Rotarians today, and so I need everybody here to reach out to the Rotarians that are not here and give them all kinds of grief, because out of the people that are here, I need 10 people to volunteer to be at the Haunted Landmark on Friday. So since y'all two get a pass because you're gone, and I guess Rome, Italy will take precedence over the Haunted Landmark. This Friday especially is Greenville's homecoming. So we are going to be extremely light on our volunteers because many of the kids that normally volunteer will be going to homecoming. So I see everybody looking at the floor and looking at their phones, and everybody needs to look up here at me. I've got 2. I know, Larry, you said you can't be here, correct? You're going to be out of town. I know, yep, John's going to be there. Is there anybody else out of this crew? Kamie's checking on it. Jason, I see you looking down, but I've already told you you're going to be there, and he's bringing his 18-year-old son. So we need 10 representatives from Rotary, whether it's you or it's a child or a grandchild or your next door neighbor. I need you to go out in the next couple of days and say, Rotary needs you. This is not a case of, hey, I'm just going to ignore this. This is a big deal because on Saturday night at 6 p.m., I start makeup and costuming at 5. This last Saturday night at 6 p.m., I had 10 people. And I had to start begging and borrowing and pleading to try to get some other actors there. We can't run the house with 10 people. That's not a good fundraiser. That's not a good way to do business. But we ended up getting plenty of people because the kids all called their friends in, and it was fantastic. And the feedback we are getting is absolutely phenomenal. It's off the charts. They are loving the haunted house. So please make sure to talk to people you know in your life. Get them to register on the website, thehauntedlandmark.com, volunteers needed, and have them show up at 5 o'clock for makeup and costuming. Any questions on that? Okay, everybody's actually looking at me now, so yay. Okay, we have no other presentations or announcements today. At the end, I will ask if there's anything else from the floor, but Mr. Weiland, would you please come up and introduce our speaker for the day?
Today, our program is going to be presented by Mr. Ken Leonard, and he's going to be talking about the 2020 census. Mr. Leonard, you were commended to me by Bobby Stovall, our county judge, and that's how I made contact with you. He thought it would be a good idea to have a program here. Census is coming up, and I'm looking forward to learning more about it. Ken lives in Forney. He's from Floresville, married a Californian, and he said the Greenville, Forney, this area was a compromise. She didn't want to live in Floresville, and he didn't want to live in California, so I'm so glad you compromised. Here you go, Ken.
All right, well, it is great to be here in Greenville. I love Greenville. I know a little something about y'all because I know who Audie Murphy is. And anybody that came from Hunt County, the folks that are here in Hunt County have got to be awesome. But like I said, we live in Forney, and on the topic of census, Forney has seen incredible growth. Oh, yeah. I don't know if y'all knew, but I'm a recovering county commissioner myself. I served 8 years as a county commissioner in Kaufman County. And the county doubled in population in the time that I was county commissioner. When we moved to Forney, there was one 2A high school in town. We were about 2,500 population in Forney. Now we're 23,000 people just in town, not including all those folks around. We now have 2 5A high schools in Forney. I loved it when everybody was a Forney Jackrabbit fan. Well, that's not the case anymore. Now we have the North Forney Falcons. And I was at a friend of mine's barbecue place, and it was getting close to homecoming weekend, and there were a bunch of parents of North Forney high school kids, and they were complaining that the Forney Jackrabbit Homecoming Parade was such a big deal and that it just wasn't fair. And my friend who had the barbecue place said, North Forney is brand new. You don't have any alumni to come home. But thank you for coming. And I used to be a Rotarian there in Forney, but for about the past 9 years, I've done disaster relief, first for the Red Cross and then for the church. And I worked the 2010 census and came back to get a break from traveling all over the country. And plus, I wanted Texas to be counted. We'll talk about that some more. Before I get any further, I want to introduce you to my colleague, Monticello Gonzalez. And this is actually her area, but I was hired before most partnership specialists, so I made the contact with Judge Stovall just after Judge Horn died, and he was appointed, and Judge Horn was a good friend of mine back when I was a county commissioner. And but I'm going to have her say a little something here at the end. And one thing you will like is, being a former recovering politician, I know that if you talk too long, they won't vote for you. So I won't be going on forever, but I will give you your money's worth. And lunch was terrific, by the way. Okay. Okay, the census. The census is Article 1, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. That's where it comes from. There's two things. One, what's the original intent of the census? Anybody know?
To determine the number of representatives.
Exactly. Apportionment in Congress is tied to census numbers, and that's why the census is in the United States Constitution. A side benefit that's developed over the years is grant funding. I served a number of years at the North Central Texas, the Council of Governments Regional Review Board. And that board reviews grant applications and decides who gets funding for water projects, sewer projects, and things like that. The primary question, the make or break question, is how many low to moderate income people are going to be affected by this census. And it's not just water and sewer projects, and it's not just projects that go through that committee. Healthcare, hospital funding, schools, you can just go on and on and on. Law enforcement are all tied to census numbers. And the numbers that we come up with this census are going to last for 10 years. How many know how many censuses there have been since it was put in the Constitution to begin with? I should have made this a contest.
Wow.
This will be only the 24th census in our nation's history.
240 years.
Right, 240 years. But and the first census was in 1790. Imagine how strange that was, because census takers would have to get on a horse, ride out to a farm, go up to the house and say, I'm with the United States Census and I'm here to count you. And sometimes they would be told, in this home, we are still loyal to the crown. We don't consider ourselves American citizens. And the census taker would say, that's fine, we're counting you anyway. That's what we've done since the beginning. We count everyone. If you're in the United States on April the 1st, we count everyone. And that's why Monticello is like a left-handed pitcher, because she can speak Spanish. And we desperately need people who can go outreach to the Spanish-speaking population, which I hate to tell you, you have a lot of Spanish-speaking people in Greenville, Texas, that you really do need to make sure they get counted. because every grant you apply for is going to depend on those census numbers. Okay. Confidentiality. We cannot disseminate any information. And a big part of our job is finding people who have the trust of folks that aren't likely to respond to the census, usually because they're afraid there could be repercussions if they do. Well, if you see at the bottom, what happens if any of us disseminate that information? We face a $250,000 fine and up to 5 years in jail. We have to swear an oath that we will not even disseminate that personal information after we leave the census. That's a lifetime commitment that we make, that we will not share that information with anyone. So nobody has to worry about repercussions if they respond to the census. The information is kept, and I'm only going to hit the highlights, for 72 years. Now, does anybody do genealogy? Yep, if you do genealogy, you know that every 72 years there's a new batch of information that's going to come out. Well, 72 years from now, nobody's going to care what your personal information was, what your address and all that kind of stuff. So there is no reason not to respond to the census. Apportionment. Look at that map and what stands out. Or look at the figures off to the right. Who was the biggest winner in the country after the last census, the 2010 census? Texas by a ton. Texas gained 4 seats in the House of Representatives after the 2010 census. Has the growth rate slowed down any in Texas since then?
Nope.
Now, I'm not allowed to speculate what we might see next time, but I don't think it's going to be much different than what we saw last time. So it's extremely important. And let me put this in perspective. There are states, for Texas to gain seats, there are states that have to lose seats. And they don't want to lose seats. And there are some states that are spending major money to make sure they don't lose a seat in Congress. Well, do you want your representative that you're entitled to represent another state because we didn't do a very good job of counting everybody in Texas? I don't. So it really puts the burden on us to make sure everyone is counted. Annually, $675 billion are distributed back to the states and back to counties and local communities in the form of grant funding. That's not money that's really not money that Washington is giving us. That's our own money. They just decide how to give it back to us based on census numbers and other factors, but the primary factor is census numbers. They use it to decide legislative districts, not only in Congress, but in the state legislature and the state senate, in the county courthouses, your commissioners' precincts, and your justice of the peace precincts, constable precincts. Inside the city, a lot of times it depends on what system you're under. The city council districts are decided by census numbers. The TxDOT uses census numbers heavily to decide future transportation needs. So if you're in a place like Greenville, Texas, where you know the growth is coming, you need TxDOT to have all the tools in their toolkit to figure out when it's time to build roads in Greenville, Texas, and in Hunt County. Housing assistance and rehabilitation loans. Designing facilities for people with disabilities, elderly and children. This is kind of the cool part. For the first time ever, we're introducing new technology to the census. Before, who remembers when you either got the short form or the long form? And nobody wanted the long form. Everybody hoped against hope they got the short form. Well, first I can tell you, even if you do a paper census, it's going to be the short form. If you do any census, it's going to be the short form. We now handle everything else through the American Community Survey, which is an ongoing effort that uses sampling and estimates, that kind of thing. The census is based as nearly as we can on actual numbers, and it only takes place every 10 years. But for the first time, you'll be able to respond to the census on the internet or on the phone. So, and it's only like 9 or 10 questions. 12 questions. It's only 12 questions. There's no deep, dark personal questions on there. And and I think we're working on an app to do it on the phone also, which will be great for young people because they'll look forward to answering the census on their cell phone. We count everyone where they are on April the 1st of 2010. Is there a college here in Greenville?
Commerce.
Oh, yeah.
TJC is here.
TJC, yeah, I'm an East Texas State alumni. Why would I even ask that question?
Because
but
it's not in Greenville.
It's not in Greenville. But college students are real hard to count. Now, the ones that live on campus are easy because we have a group that counts group quarters. They count nursing homes and jails and places like that. Right now we're talking about, sorry for the politically incorrect term, they call them man camps, but I keep telling them y'all need to get with it. They're person camps because there are women that work in the oil patch, but there are man camps out in the oil patch. But students who live off campus, and especially students that aren't American citizens, have no idea that they're supposed to be counted. The ones that are that live here, but they're just away to college, assume mom and dad are counting them back home. Do y'all want them counted out in South Carolina, or do y'all want them counted in Commerce, Texas? You want them counted in Commerce, Texas. So we have a job there, and the mayor of Commerce is working with us to make sure everybody is counted not only in Commerce, but that the college students are counted as well. But you'll be able to answer on the phone or over the internet. In Kaufman County, y'all know we have an Amish community down in the southeastern corner of Kaufman County, and they have a big bakery in Commerce, Texas that's delicious. I mean, not Commerce, Kemp, Texas. And if you're ever there, stop at the bakery. Their bread is awesome. And well, the guy who runs the bakery is the only guy in the community that has a cell phone, because he has to have one to do business. So he's going to let everybody in the Amish community use a cell phone to respond to the census. But that's what we depend on y'all to help develop strategies to make sure those hard to count populations are counted. The other thing is, because it's online and we think that's the primary way people are going to respond, y'all will have real-time access to those numbers as they come in. And those phone lines and the website will open in mid-March. So kind of be looking for it. If you live in a city and you have a city address, we will send up to 5 notices to remind you to respond to the census. Those don't go to rural mail routes or post office boxes. You'll have to take the initiative and respond to the census. And there will be advertising campaigns and things like that. And here's the key dates. The main ones to keep track of right now are on March 23rd is when self-response start. That's when you can start responding to the census. Group quarters will be going on just after the first of the year. And we just opened, y'all are in the McKinney area census office, and we just opened the office in McKinney.
Yes.
Yeah, and in May is when non-response follow-up starts. And I don't know why, we call it NARFU, and people outside the census don't know what NARFU means, but that's when a census taker comes to your door. And I love telling this story, and I'll get in trouble for telling it sometime, but till they make me stop, I'm gonna keep telling it. The last census, I worked the last census, and in the Dallas area, we hired a little person as a census taker. Well, he went up to the door of a house where the only person that was home was a mentally challenged guy like my youngest brother, who had never in his life seen a little person. And of course, he thought he was a leprechaun. So he grabbed him and put him in a closet and would not let him out of the closet. And the guy is my hero. He said, I knew he wasn't going to hurt me, and I knew eventually somebody would come home and let me out of the closet. And I had a full charge on my cell phone, but I wasn't going to call the cops because that would just cause a big commotion nobody needed. So I just took care of business on my cell phone in the closet till Mom came home, and of course she was mortified when she got home. She let him out of the closet. But like I said, that guy is my hero. I could just see my youngest brother doing that exact same thing. Only he gets out a lot. I mean, he's not homebound at all. We will finish data collection in August. December 31st is when we give raw data to the president, not personal information. We just give the data to the president of the United States. And then on April the 1st, 2020, by April the 1st, 2021, it may be earlier, that's when the Washington disseminates that census data to the states, and the states disseminate it to counties and cities and school districts and water districts and everybody else that needs that information. And we're not allowed to be involved in redistricting at all. So that's about all about redistricting I can say, is that it starts after April 21st of 2021. The way we get people in the areas that are hard to count, individuals that are hard to count to do it, is by forming complete count committees. And I've already talked to Judge Stovall about forming a complete count committee. And it's whoever has the trust of those hard to count populations, churches, social services, schools, the Meals on Wheels program, things like that. And a complete count committee is made up of people that represent those organizations. And I would love for everybody here, if you are in one of those groups, to consider asking the judge to serve on a complete count committee, because that's how we know that they don't trust us, but we know that y'all know people that they do trust. And that's what it's all about. To get them to respond, you have to build a lot of trust. At this point, I want Marcella to talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
What?
About complete count committees and getting people to serve on complete count committees who have the trust of the hard to count.
Yes, exactly. We need different groups here in Greenville. We have a complete count committee in the city of Greenville. We are looking for everyone who can help us, or who can help the CCC, or who can be part of the CCC, reaching out people out there. Those CCC usually has subcommittees that are subcommittees, for example, for education, for communities, for businesses, for faith-based organizations as well. And we need to form all that committees to help us to be sure that everyone is counted here. For example, in McKinney, we have 4 subcommittees. They're working with schools, with ISDs, with businesses, with Chamber of Commerce, with everyone. Remember, our goal is to count everyone once, only once, and in the right place. We are working right now with Hispanic groups, with other people that do not speak English. That's part of my job right now. So that kind of organization is what we need. That kind of committee is what we need. If you can help us with that kind of committees organization in this organization as well, you can be part of another CCC, or you can form your own CCC.
And by the way, if y'all will let us, we want to count every one of y'all as partners with the census. If y'all get us a roster, it won't cost you a thing. CCCs, it's the highest elected official. Here, it's the county judge and it's the mayor that form CCCs for the city and the county. And as Marcella said, the city might have a CCC, but they'll probably have a representative on the county CCC as well. Right now, we are desperate to hire people. We pay, depending on the area, here around how much? 16. Around $16 an hour, plus 58 cents a mile. We need people, especially who can work when people are home. So you can have a full-time job during the day and work the census at night, and we'll work around your schedule.
What's the minimum age?
18 years old. There is no maximum. We're the federal government. We don't discriminate. But you have to pass a background check. hate to mention that, but that's the truth. So, you know, if you know somebody that really needs a job but can't pass a background check, don't get their hopes up, because they may not make the cut. But that's why we love school teachers, because they can pass a background check. I talked a couple of weeks ago to the county and district judges conference and asked the district and county clerks association and asked the county clerks to have their election workers to, as long as they don't work on election day, to serve to work for the Census Bureau. If you're in the field, it pays another 58 cents a mile. If you have supervisory experience, it's another $3. And y'all are commuting distance to Tyler is where we have another census office. You can judge whether you're commuting distance to McKinney, but I think Tyler is a much easier commute than McKinney is. And
not from here.
It's not.
Straight out 3A, we're gonna hour versus 30 minutes.
Okay, y'all know better than I do. I'm just a guy from Forney, Texas. What do I know? But anyway, you have a card on every one of your table with the website, and all they do is fill out the application, answer a questionnaire, and we can tell what they'll be terrific at. And right now, like I said, unemployment's like 3-something%, and we've got to hire people to get the census done. So please encourage people to apply. And there's our personal contact. That's our work phones and email addresses. Feel free to write them down. If you need anything, let us know, and we'll open it up for questions real quick.
Is it mandatory to respond to a census?
Yes. Yes, it's the law that yes, you have to respond to the census.
You said that anybody that's in the United States on April 1st,
right,
whether they're citizens or non-citizens.
Exactly.
Everyone.
Now, not if they're just visiting. If they it's wherever they spend the majority of the year at. So if they're college students, they're going to spend the majority of the year at wherever the town is that the college is. Oil field workers, even if they, even if they live in Michigan, but they're working in the oil patch out in West Texas, they're going to be counted in West Texas, even if their family lives somewhere else. It's wherever you are on April the 1st, but we have always counted everyone who is in the country.
How much time does a census taker spend? Is it several months that they're doing this, or?
Yes, it'll finish by the end of the summer next year.
And is it just going house to house to house?
No, you're only going to the houses that haven't responded to the census. And understand, there's going to be people that won't answer the door for you.
When do these temporary workers start?
Well, we have address canvassers out working now, and that's something y'all need to be aware about, because they're verifying addresses. They're seeing if there's new subdivisions. They're seeing if somebody's built a garage apartment that another family lives in, and driving, and they do it in twos, and driving from house to house writing down address numbers is the definition of suspicious activity.
Yeah.
So and so we go to law enforcement and we make sure that the dispatchers know that our people are out there, and because they will call the law on them.
Quickly. Yes, sir. I know, like you said, there are some of the states that lose delegates based on the count. I'm not sure how much I trust New York and New Jersey, because, yeah, they already got my antennas up. Who's taking care of that, making sure it's fair?
Well, we have checks and balances to make sure people aren't double dipping from the same address and things like that. Other than that, you remember Sergeant Schultz on Hogan's Heroes? You remember what he used to say?
One more.
Okay, yes.
So I think 2-3 maybe so months ago, I received my census already. Is that accurate?
What you received is the American Community Survey, one of the censuses from the American Community Survey. That's not the decennial census. The way I always say it is, there's a regular census that works all the time, and then there's an entire different group that only does it, the decennial, every 10 years. They're regular Army, we're the militia.
I could have swore it said U.S. Census.
It does say census, but, yeah, it does say U.S. Census, but okay, let me tell you this, there is a fake census going around that's pretty much a political fundraiser thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen that.
Yeah, so look at it closely, make sure it says .gov at the end of it. Thank you.
One more thing. First of all, you will receive an invitation to fill out the census in mid-March next year. Okay, that's when you will receive the invitation. And we will have a job fair here at the library on the 21st, October 21st, from 10 to 1. If you know someone interested in jobs, we will have another job fair the 25th in Workforce Solution Greenville from 9 to 12. Thank you.
Okay.
21st here at the library.
21st at the library, 25th at Workforce Solutions.
And we'll stick around as long as y'all
The
have.
library from 9 a.m. to 12.
Library 9 to 12.
Sorry, library 10 to 1.
10 to 1.
And Workforce Solution 9 to 12.
Okay.
The 25th.
Thank you guys very much, and I have to say my very most favorite census story is because I do my genealogy. I think it's the 1870 census. They all have little boxes. The old ones have little boxes to check, like can read, can write, all that stuff. And I think it may be the 1870 census that has a box to check for idiot. So that's my favorite census story. Is there anybody that has anything else to bring before Rotary today? Nope? Thank you. So yes, thank you very much for being here. They're going to stay if you have any questions. That's Rotary for today. Thank you.
Mark me down for that one, would
It is their fundraiser. It's a big fundraiser. And we already had money set aside to give to them anyway, so we just gave them the money for the sponsorship, which also got us 10 tickets into the event. It's just an annual gala that they have. It's a big party.
I've already got the blank.
Yeah, the Texan Theater. It's called the Back to the Future. If you'll, I'm sure that it's on Facebook.
I don't know, maybe you didn't tell me.
David, have you,
I don't think so. I think it's in Texas.
have you spoken to anyone about bringing
Turning those in.
turn these in? I know he's got blank.
This video has been brought to you by Juice 34. Juice is your community-owned provider for electric, internet, cable TV, and true local programming.